What's up, guys? How's it going? Bringing you guys some good old battle, doing it up, bringing you guys some Conquest Large on the Dawnbreaker in the attack helicopter as the pilot. And this gameplay is actually kind of old. It's from like November or December, somewhere around then. I was like level 70 here, but I figured I'd make this video just kind of talking about some of my thoughts on the attack helicopters, what I feel that DICE needs to do to make these things a little bit more enjoyable in Battlefield 4. And, you know, I've seen Level Cap and Matimio make their videos about this, so I figured I'd chime in and give you guys my 2 cents. I might as well go ahead and post this on Reddit too. Maybe I'll get lucky and the DICE developers will see it. It'll probably get downvoted to hell, but it is what it is and it's worth a shot. So, first off, I'd like to talk about some of the positives with the attack helicopter. Now, there's not many, but there are some. First one, thank you, DICE, for getting rid of the endless heat seeker chopper battles that I absolutely hated in Battlefield 3. One thing that I hated for sure the most with Battlefield 3 as regards to chopper versus chopper battles was the endless heat seeker missiles. I love that you gotta wait for them to reload. Even for just the main rockets and the gunner seat, there's a balance there where you can't just, you know, like Bad Company 2, endlessly circle strafe and just destroy everything on the ground. Because I definitely do not want this to go back to the way it was in Bad Company 2. Atacama Desert comes to mind. Circle strafers in deployment was kind of a problem. Fortunately, in this game, we got the automated anti-air turrets in the deployment, so that wouldn't be a problem in this game, even if there was no stingers or anything like that, because they just get taken out by that. So I'm all good with that stuff. But yeah, thank you guys for removing the endless heat seeker chopper battles. That's one thing that I always didn't like in Battlefield 3. And I like that. I could actually get kills with the pilot now. That's another problem that I had with Battlefield 3. I'd fly with my buddy Mac, and let's say one of us would be gunner, get 30 to 40 kills or whatever, and as I crash on the ground, but one of us would get 30 or 40 kills, and the pilot, whether it be me or him, would get 5 kills, 10 if I'm lucky. In this gameplay, just in this span right here that you guys are watching, I get about 20 kills in the gunner, or the pilot seat. So I'm happy with that. And I was never, disappointed or anything with the lack of kills that I would get in Battlefield 3, because I felt that if I was doing a good job as the pilot, where I was, properly setting myself up to get those good, attack runs with the helicopter, flying, get the hell out of Dodge, that sort of thing. I felt that I was doing my part, and also the act of flying itself was fun. So not getting that many kills wasn't too big of a deal for me, because I enjoyed flying nonetheless. It wasn't even about the kills, it was just the act of flying that was fun. That's not so much the case in this game. And there are a few issues that come to mind when looking at this problem. The first thing for sure that needs to be fixed is have the actual flares in the attack helicopter and the ECM actually work. Seems like flares work for me about 50% of the time. I hit flares, I still get hit most of the time, or half the time. Sometimes it works. And ECM jammer, shit, I don't even bother using that anymore because it feel like it only works about 10% of the time. I don't know why. I'm guessing it's lag issues, like the sound from the lock is delayed than what's actually going on. I'm not quite sure, and I'm not going to pretend that I know what the problem is, but something's wrong there, and something needs to be looked at. So first things for sure that needs to be fixed is making it so flares and ECM actually properly work. Then maybe we could further see if these things maybe actually need more balance tweaks, because I think the offensive capabilities are perfectly fine in the attack helicopters in this game. And, even the countermeasures I don't have too much of a problem with, like the high, like 25 seconds or whatever it is to get your flares back and this sort of thing. doesn't really bother me. Or it wouldn't bother me if they brought back below radar, which is something that I definitely feel that needs to return with the attack helicopters for Battlefield 4. At least the attack helicopters. Everything else, I could care less. I mean, scout helicopters, you could get 2 people repairing, which I also never had a problem with, because an RPG or SRA or anything takes care of that problem quite easily. But you know, I never had a problem with that sort of thing. And also, just from them buffing the maneuverability of the scout choppers definitely helped a lot, which is one thing that I would like to see with the attack helicopters, is their maneuverability buff. Now, I don't mean go crazy with it. Like in Bad Company 2, it was maybe they were a little bit too agile, but something definitely needs to be done in this game, because if you saw when I did crash into the ground right there, it wasn't because I got hit by anything or anything like that. It's because when I did my, my run and I was coming down to the ground, I couldn't pull back up. And that happens to me a lot. I find myself, and it's random, it's hit or miss. Sometimes I could pull myself out of the most ridiculous fucking nosedives. Other times my nose is barely even pointed at the ground, and I can't pull up in time. I don't know why. It's almost like it just stops working and it just crashes me into the ground. It's like, I don't know what's up with that, but I think the maneuverability definitely needs to be improved. That on top of, in combination with bringing back below radar, would be fantastic, because you could set yourself up, get your good strafing run in the attack helicopter. You start off high, shoot your rockets and all that shit. Someone locks on you, you hit your flares or your ECM, and then you retreat. And below radar helps you make that retreat. Even with, you hit your flares when you're retreating in this game, if there's more than one person locking on you, you're fucked. And considering the fact of how fast the rockets travel from Stingers and all that sort of thing, you're fucked anyways. So maybe reduce the speed at which those rockets travel. That would be nice. Then it would elongate the lock-on warning that you would get as well. Obviously if they're like right up next to you, the warning's going to be short. But I would like to see something tweaked there. Maybe bring it to like sort of like how the javelins operate, where you shoot it and it shoots straight up in the air and then goes to its target. I would like to see something like that with the Stingers, because while Stingers are annoying, they can be easily dealt with, especially if you're in coordination with your gunner. And if you have a problem with Stinger users in this game, I suggest, if you're the gunner, rolling with the infrared or the night vision. I forget what it's called exactly. The black and white view. Use that. Look for the people standing still. You'll have no problem with Stinger noobs. And, I was doing that in Battlefield 3 even before we got the patch that got rid of the flares for the gunner. And for those of you who remember, flares hardly worked for the gunner in that game anyway, so I don't really care if they bring them back. It seemed like if your gunner hit the flares, the missile would still hit and just kill the pilot. It's quite annoying, quite frustrating. But they took out the gunner flares, and I wasn't really disappointed with that, because I always used I always used the infrared, because I could easily pick out those people who are standing, and standing still, getting ready to shoot out their Stingers. But like situations like this right here is where below radar would be greatly helpful, where I'm flying low to the ground trying to get the fuck out of Dodge. And I love flying like this, but in this game there's no reward for doing it. There's just the risk. And that was the thing with Battlefield 3. It's like, yes, you're getting your below radar, but you run the risk of being hit by RPGs, tank shells, and that sort of thing. So I felt the trade-off was pretty balanced there. Do you want to fly high and avoid RPGs and tank shells, but you're going to be susceptible to Stingers and stuff? Or do you want to risk it and fly low and not worry about Stingers, but then you got to watch out for tanks and that sort of thing? And there was a few times where I'd be flying low to the ground, trying to avoid those Stingers, and it's like I round a corner or something, and there's just a tank there, and they'll just give me a full face of tank shell, and that was a bad time. But definitely, I think pretty much all that needs to be done with the attack helicopters is slightly, buff their maneuverability, make them a little bit more agile, and make it so you could actually pull yourself out of those downward spiral sort of situations that you get into where you're just nosediving towards the ground, and bring back below radar. And I would be perfectly fine with the attack helicopters in this game. Active or the mobile anti-air, a lot of people complain about that, but if you're coordinated with your gunner or your pilot and you make use of your TV missiles, they're usually not a problem. I actually more have a problem with the active protection on the mobile anti-air tanks, because there's nothing worse than actually risking your chopper to actually get in close to take out that mobile anti-air, only for them to hit the active protection. None of your shit counts. They instantly take you out because you're, in close proximity to them. So I feel that these are just some of the changes that need to take place to make things further balanced. They said they got rid of below radar because it confuses new and casual players to the game. Well, you know what? Fuck them. That's what I have to say to that. Fuck them. If they don't want to take the time to learn the mechanics of the game, then they should suffer. There's a lot more other mechanics in this game that are more confusing than newer players than below radar. So, anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the gameplay, and peace. Have a good one.